Hey there guys, you're here with Bo and thank you for tuning in to another video. Now today we're going to be exploring an article that just came out. Bitcoin price hits $76,000 on Zimbabwe local Bitcoins. So I'm going to explore whether there's some validity in this, whether this is true. We're going to do some research into a few various platforms, and we're going to have a look at the current socio-economic and political situation in Zimbabwe, as I think this article leads into a greater story of what's actually going on in Zimbabwe and their economy, and how Bitcoin may play a role in helping the citizens there as the economy worsens day to day. So stick around guys, thank you for tuning in, and let's get into the video. Hey there guys, welcome back. You are here with Bo Stoner from Cryptocurrency Australia, the channel where Bitcoin economics and politics come together. Now today we've got this article here that's doing the rounds. The Bitcoin price hits $76,000 on Zimbabwe local Bitcoins. Seems way too significant to be true, but we're going to go through this article and dissect things a little bit and see what's actually going on. So the rundown here, we've got Bitcoin price hits 76k on local Bitcoins. Peer-to-peer platforms post record volume. So it says here, Bitcoin is trading at an eye-watering 600% premium in Zimbabwe as the country's oppressive monetary policy drives local investors towards the decentralized safe haven currency. As various media outlets reported in recent days, a full ban on foreign currency in Zimbabwe has triggered a giant premium for Bitcoin, which currently sells for up to $75,000. At press time, Bitcoin USD hovered around 11,000, meaning the premium reaches a huge 580%. Beginning last week, the country's government opted to stop transactions in the US dollar and reintroduced the stricken Zimbabwean dollar, which disappeared in 2008 amid unbelievable hyperinflation. It didn't so much disappear as it went to zero, as we'll soon see. The move caught citizens entirely by surprise, with the cash squeeze compounding anger about economic policy. We've got a quote here. Watch Bitcoin usage and prices spike in Zimbabwe, where, like everywhere else, the full faith of government is just economic jargon. This person here, Samuel B., Director of Remittance Services, Shore Remit, commented about the situation June 14, and we've got an image here of local Bitcoins. We can see one particular, or two sellers, this Mart01 and Transparent 2018, listing Bitcoin for $76,312 and $75,038 respectively. But they're the only two sellers on the platform in this image listing Bitcoin at that price. Remembering that peer-to-peer platforms are based on vendors listing the price. You can define the price, or I believe you can actually set it at market rate as well. So these guys have obviously listed it themselves at $75,000. Doesn't mean that anyone actually bought it. Reading on. Zimbabwe officially pulled the plug on allowing cryptocurrency to circulate legally in 2017. At the time, economic woes were ongoing, and Bitcoin once again saw huge local markups. Interestingly, though, when we come over to the legality of Bitcoin on Wikipedia for Zimbabwe, it says it is legal, with a comment here saying the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is skeptical about Bitcoin and has not officially permitted its use. On 5th of April 2017, however, Bitmari, a Pan-African blockchain platform, managed to get licensed through its banking partner Agribank to operate in the country. That's the most research I've done. I could dig into this more, but interestingly that we have conflicting information over on Wikipedia. I'm not saying that Wikipedia is fully up to date. It obviously requires people to keep it up to date, but as far as I can see, it is legal. It is legal in the country. Okay, coming back here. Zimbabwe has had no cryptocurrency exchanges since May last year, with trading thus necessarily occurring on peer-to-peer platforms such as local Bitcoins. And I did a bit of digging and I found this exchange that was there called Golix. And you can see here it was registered as a financial institution in Harare, Zimbabwe. It's even got the old address, the Batanai Mall corner, Jason Moyo Avenue. When we come over here to the exchange, we can see the shell of what once was an exchange. There is no trading going on. There's nothing in the order book. So I've looked across all the markets and it looks like there's absolutely nothing happening there. So this exchange has obviously shut down, and I believe this is the only exchange that was registered and operating in Zimbabwe. Interesting. Coming back to the article here. Peer-to-peer platforms post record volume. The phenomenon closely mirrors similar stories which continue to define Bitcoin's rise in mainstream culture. In particular, it is countries such as Venezuela where citizens have put their faith in crypto in the face of unreliable fiat alternatives. Discussing threats to stage mass protests if the Zimbabwean government does not change course, ATS.co CEO Akin Fernandez thus forecasts a persisting appetite for Bitcoin going forward, should authorities also attempt to enforce their existing ban. Replace USD in this story with Bitcoin, and you get a glimpse into the future of not just Zimbabwe, but every country on Earth, he wrote on Twitter. Now, interestingly, I also went and tried to do some research on the trading volume occurring in Zimbabwe, and we don't have access to it. So the closest I could actually get was Nigeria, which would have a different economic situation to Zimbabwe. I don't know in detail, but we can see here that the trading volume has actually been pretty steady since 2017 in Nigeria, which tells me that the economic situation there is probably not as bad as Zimbabwe. So we can see here that really since probably the start of December 2017 all the way to today, the trend line, if anything, has been slightly down using platforms like local Bitcoins. But I couldn't find any data for Nigeria. So, sorry, not Nigeria. I couldn't find any data for Zimbabwe. So I'm not sure where they're getting that information from, unless perhaps the local Bitcoins platform has actually told them specifically about the trading data. But anyway, reading on. While data for Zimbabwe's Bitcoin trading is not available, according to statistics for last week compiled by monitoring resource CoinDance, global volumes have hit new records. Decentralized exchange BISC, formerly BitSquare, led the surge with local Bitcoins still losing traffic after officials removed the option to exchange for cash last month. As Bitcoinist reported, the decision did not prove popular, with competitors actively luring traders elsewhere. BISC managed to generate volumes of 10.7 million in the 7 days to June 29, a number far above the week prior, which at 6.1 million was in itself record-breaking. But here's the interesting thing about BISC. This is global trading volume. So this is a decentralized exchange, which in and itself, how do you know if it's a decentralized exchange? The only way you can track which countries are actually doing the volume is if you were capturing or tracking the IP address of the person using the platform. And so we do have a big spike here. You can't quite see it on the screen in front of you, but this is global trading volume. This is not related to Zimbabwe. So I'm not sure about what they mean there. But anyway, digging into this a little bit further, guys, I actually decided to do some digging myself and look at the current trading volumes on local Bitcoins. And as we can see, the average price is between $10,000 to $11,000, and this is across a variety of different payment methods. You can see here I'm searching for USD, Zimbabwe, all online offers. So here we got some payment methods for TransferWise. So this person's willing to sell it for $10,235 per Bitcoin if you use TransferWise. We've got WebMoney, MoneyGram, Swift, NetTeller, a bunch of different methods, but nothing here for $75,000. I decided to search for cash deposit. There is no actual physical cash option, which is probably a good thing, to be honest. I think it would be quite dangerous to do that in a poor economic country. But here we have cash deposit, hard cash. Maybe that is enough to do a hard cash deposit. But this person here, BetVenture44, is accepting $14,240, which is a far cry from $76,000. So perhaps the $76,000 just came from a couple of users that thought they could maybe pump the price by doing so. But overall, it looks like the market has quickly corrected, and that 600% premium is absolutely gone. And I thought I would also double check on Paxful, which is another peer-to-peer trading platform, buy Bitcoin in Zimbabwe. And you can see here it's much the same. The rate per Bitcoin is between $10,579 and $10,897. And that's using a few different payment methods. We got bank transfer, Bank of America, Western Union, World Remit, cash by mail. So overall, guys, a little bit of hype, a little bit of over enthusiasm I see from this article, and this article's done the rounds on a bunch of different outlets. So I think it just highlights the importance of digging yourself sometimes and confirming some of the information that you see to make sure it is actually factually correct and not too hype or speculatively driven. Because, these kind of things can have a flow-on effect on the market. They can have a flow-on effect on people's decisions. So always important to stay rational and to double check things yourself when you're looking into it. But I thought it would be interesting, while I was doing the research for this video, I started digging right into the economic situation in Zimbabwe, and it is really, really bad. So I thought we'd just go through this article as well, because it gives a good picture on what's happening in Zimbabwe as of only just very recently. So we have this article here from BBC News, why Zimbabwe has banned foreign currencies. They have actually banned foreign currencies. Okay. Zimbabwe's government has taken the controversial decision to ban local trading in foreign currencies, including the US dollar, with immediate effect. It has also reintroduced the Zimbabwe dollar, which was abandoned because of the hyperinflation in 2009 when the country mainly adopted the US dollar and the South African rand. The move has shocked Zimbabweans who have had little faith in a local currency. The exchange rate when the Zimbabwe dollar was scrapped was 35 quadrillion to 1. I'm just sitting here speechless right now. If you're watching this video, have a look at the image you're seeing in front of you with this guy here with some notes strapped to his head that are obviously worthless, and you can see the denominations. Remember what I said yesterday about when you look at really large denominations on a currency, you instantly know that their currency has been hyperinflated or inflated and debased over time. So he's got some $500,000 dollar notes on his head, which just shows he's doing that because they're worthless. This currency has essentially been hyperinflated to zero, so they scrapped it in 2009 because it became worthless. The spending power goes down as the inflation increases over time. Unbelievable. So it says here that there's a name tag again. The economy is a mess. Nearly everything is imported and there is a shortage of physical cash. The cost of living is very expensive. Unemployment is widespread. Various things have been tried to solve the problem, including the introduction of 2016 of bond notes, a parallel currency that was only accepted in Zimbabwe. It was officially pegged to the US dollar, but in reality was worth much less. So a thriving black market developed, and Zimbabwe has become a cashless society, relying on card-based transactions or trading with mobile money. I have heard that Zimbabwe platforms such as, and I'm not sure if it's exactly WeChat, but WeChat in China, there's like a virtual currency, not a cryptocurrency, but a virtual currency on WeChat that is very, very popular over there, and many merchants and vendors will accept it. And I believe, I've been told, the same thing has happened in Zimbabwe. In February, bond notes and electronic cash were rebranded to RTGS dollars and allowed to float to try and crush the black market. However, workers who used to get their salaries paid in US dollars have found that their salaries in RTGS dollars are not able to keep up with inflation, now running at 100%. People were often expected to pay for goods in shops and services like doctor's fees in US dollars. President Emerson Mnangagwa said the ban was an important step in restoring normalcy to our economy. Well, it sounds like it's done the opposite, actually. While the multi-currency regime helped stabilize the economy, it did not give us control of monetary policy and left us at the mercy of US dollar pricing, which has been a root cause of inflation. That's interesting because if you're using a foreign currency, how does that affect the inflation of your local currency, especially when your local currency was scrapped? So people were using the US dollar. Why? Because the US dollar has not gone through hyperinflation. It might have inflated between 1% to 3% a year, but that according to the Keynesian economic principle was standard. So people are still able to survive generally with a reasonable standard of living with that kind of inflation. The value of your money is still going down over time. Make no mistake, especially over like a 10-year period when you're looking between 10 to 20% inflation, especially when interest rates are so low and banks won't even give you, the banks won't even match the interest on deposits equivalent to inflation. So you're still losing money even if you're keeping your money in a bank. Keeping cash is essentially, you're losing money if you're keeping cash. It should be in investments, like an index fund, like the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ or something like that. Just as a long term, just to make some money on your money, right? You want your money working for you. But very interesting statement there. So he adds, the authorities also say that because the US dollar is so strong, producing goods locally is expensive, which is why businesses prefer to import goods. What has been the reaction? Anger and exasperation. Most people who associate the Zimbabwe dollar with food shortages and runaway inflation have complained about the lack of warning. The RTGS officially became the Zimbabwe dollar on Monday, the only legal tender. So a typical reactionary snap decision, probably made out of fear with no real thought given. Very typical of governments. We should have our own currency, but they shouldn't have abolished it as if they were swatting a fly. They should have given us notice. Supermarkets and those in the formal sector responded a day after the announcement by issuing new prices in Zimbabwean dollars, but they were beyond the means of many. I'm not going to go through it any more than that, but I do just want to comment on the economic political situation and its relation to Bitcoin. So people are using these peer-to-peer trading platforms like Local Bitcoin because they don't have local liquidity. They don't have a nice, easy-to-use exchange with local liquidity. Why is that? It's probably because governments and regulators have made it extremely difficult, if not impossible, to register an exchange. So for optics, the Zimbabwean government may have given the appearance that Bitcoin was legal, but if you try to start a business in Bitcoin, like an exchange, to actually provide some local liquidity and give people access to Bitcoin, oh, no, that's not happening, which is why there is no exchanges in Zimbabwe, and the only one that was there has shut down. So the only other option people have when they don't have local liquidity is to use peer-to-peer trading platforms like Local Bitcoins. There's always going to be a premium because people selling those Bitcoins themselves have to take it via PayPal, which charges fees, or TransferWire, which charges fees, or Swift, which charges fees. So this is another example very similar to Iran, where you have geopolitical issues. I would say Zimbabwe is far worse at this point than Iran, but you have a dire economic situation caused by a corrupt government that hyperinflated their local currency to zero. The Zimbabwean people they go to a hard money, a hard-er money, being US dollars in this case. They can't get access to Bitcoin. Well, it's very difficult to get access to Bitcoin because they have to use peer-to-peer. And then snap decisions made and they reintroduced this currency that was hyperinflated to zero 10 years ago. So it's the people being punished again. It's the citizens. It's the everyday person that isn't involved in this, socio-economic hegemony that essentially grinds these economies and people into dust. And this is what frustrates and annoys me, is that people these governments are actively making it difficult for their people to prosper and at least survive by restricting access to local exchanges. Because I can tell you, if it was a positive environment for Bitcoin and crypto in Zimbabwe, we would have exchanges, we would have infrastructure, we would have businesses. Why? Because there's opportunity. That's the drive of free market capitalism, is it provides opportunity for people to start businesses, to be entrepreneurial, to test ideas in the market, and to create wealth for themselves and their families. So, overall, what is going to happen in Zimbabwe? It's so bad already that it's one of those things where you think, well, it's got to get worse before it can get better, but it's already so bad. I really don't know. I don't know. It's just one of those things we're just going to have to watch and see. But overall, the gist of the whole article, Bitcoin's not trading for $76,000. It's trading for pretty standard prices. Maybe a slight premium if you want to pay in hard cash. I would want a premium too if I was selling Bitcoin in hard cash in a country that's going through severe economic issues, especially like Venezuela, because it's dangerous, right? It's dangerous. You need a premium because you're risking yourself. So anyway, interesting, guys. I'll stay tuned into this one. So guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, likes always really appreciated. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Always appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already for all things Bitcoin, economics, and politics. Little notification button up in the top right-hand corner. Don't forget to press that as well. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your time. My name's Bo, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.